Hey there, everybody. How are you doing? It's Lorraine Rise. I'm live again. I hope you all are having a nice Thursday afternoon. I know for me, the weather is gorgeous here. Fall is a really beautiful time in Virginia. So I've got the window open here. This is a little bit of my home office that you can see. So it's really beautiful. I've got a nice breeze coming in. So hopefully you're having a good day wherever you might be. We're going to do another free training as I have been offering on Thursdays at 2 p.m. pretty regularly. So come in. Please feel free to make comments. You can post, and I can usually see them live, and I'll try to get to it. If not, after the broadcast, I'm happy to chime in and answer any questions and engage with you guys on this topic. Today, we're going to talk about salary negotiations and making more money. Yes, great topic. One of my favorite things to do, right? And one of my favorite things to coach my clients to be able to do as well. So, a little bit about me, just briefly. Just in case you're not familiar, I'm Lorraine Rise. I'm the owner of Career Uprising. We are kind of a boutique coaching firm for mid and late career professionals. And so we help people change careers. We help people land more job offers, get more confident, do all kinds of wonderful things. Hi there. I see some of you guys are coming in, making comments. Thank you for that. So today we're going to, like I said, talk about salary negotiations, but I wanted to just know who I am. Career Uprising is the website. So if you want to learn more about what my team and I do, because it's not just me, I have a fabulous team now at this point, which is awesome. We've been rocking and rolling for 7 years. So cool. 7 years I've been doing this. It's amazing. So go to Career Uprising, learn more about us. I have a newsletter I put out on LinkedIn every other Thursday. I have these broadcasts. I have about almost 130 episodes of my podcast. I have a blog with well over 100 articles. I have so much free content out there for you. So if you're not able to invest right now, that is okay. There is a lot you can sink your teeth into for free, including these trainings. But I always invite people to take that step, right? And work with me if they're so inclined. So let's dig in. Who out there wants to make more money and wants to negotiate their salary, but is afraid to, or not sure how to do it, right? A lot of people, I think, are worried that if I negotiate my offer, they might rescind it, right? Or they might get mad at me for some reason, that it's going to somehow strain your relationship with this new employer or compromise this job offer that you have. Or maybe they won't even make an offer to you because you negotiated, so you won't even get the offer, right? Okay, yes, so thank you, Christopher, chiming in. A lot of people, men and women, feel this way. Men and women, okay? Yes, women a lot of times need help speaking up and asking for what they want, but I work with men and women. And I can tell you, this is not an easy thing to do. And there are some best practices. There are some, I think, rights and wrongs or better ways to approach this conversation than others. So that's what we're going to cover. What I'm going to do is I always start with one. Usually in almost all my trainings, I'm a big mindset person. So I'm going to start with a quick mindset piece. So to get you in the right frame of mind for even approaching this conversation. Then I'm going to give you 3 quick and dirty tips for a salary negotiation. So then you're going to walk away with at least 3 specific nuggets of information here, okay? That will help you to feel more comfortable and more confident in this negotiation. Okay, so first, the mindset piece, okay? Most employers expect you to negotiate. This is a fact. Right? A lot of times we're afraid that an offer is going to be rescinded, and maybe it could be, but I'll get to that in a second. Okay. Most employers are going to expect you to negotiate. And I know this from my time as a hiring manager and as a recruiter. I'm very accustomed to people negotiating salaries, and I have not ever, at least in my experience, seen it happen where someone takes away an offer just because you negotiated. And here's what I'm going to say if they did. You don't want to work for them. You don't want to work for them. If they're going to do that, that's not your employer. So you don't need to worry about that. I don't want you to go in to the interview process worrying about that and not negotiating because you're afraid that the employer is going to take away the offer. You have power here too. It's not just them. You have choices in the job market, and you don't have to work for this employer. So if they're going to act that way, I don't think they deserve you. So don't worry about those people. It really is that simple. But most employers will understand that this is a natural part of the job search process. Most people will appreciate that and understand that. Now, what might happen is they'll might come back and say, I'm sorry, we can't do that. We can only offer you 75,000. Do you still want the job? In the vast majority of cases, I really think that that is the worst that is going to happen. And this is coming from my personal experience as somebody who has negotiated her salary, from somebody who has coached her husband to negotiate his salary, and been a recruiter and coached many other people. This is what is going to happen in the vast majority of cases. You'll just have a choice. If they can't meet the salary you want, you got to decide, do you still want it? And that's a whole different conversation, right? That you have to have with yourself. So that's the mindset piece. And I see your question there. Chris, how do you leverage or find leverage in yourself? Okay, so let me go through this whole training and see if that will help answer this question a little bit, okay? Because I'm going to give you 3 rules of negotiations, and then I'm actually going to give you also some specific dialogue for what to say. I love that. I love a plug and play. And I'm a big dialogue person. If you work with me in coaching, I give you the exact dialogue. I just launch into that kind of zone that's kind of from my sales training that I've had. I just launch into a dialogue and a conversation. It's just very easy. It's how I think, right? So we're going to get to all of that. Okay, number 1, the first thing I want you to try to do when you're in the interview process and and it might be early in the process. It could be an initial phone screen or maybe a second round interview. But especially if they ask you for your salary requirements early in the process, maybe on your first interview, I want you to delay the conversation as much as you can. And I'm going to give you one caveat to this in a minute. But in most cases, I want you to try and delay the conversation. Now I know what you're going to say. I know that, Lorraine. How do I do that? How do I dodge their question, right? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to first just give it a good faith effort to put off the conversation and just say, I appreciate the question and I understand that that salary is important, but it's not the only thing that I'm considering. My primary concern right now is to learn more about the job and really see if I'm a good fit for the company and the company's a good fit for me. And if it's determined that I am, I'm confident we can come to an agreement on salary. See what they say. That's a very fair and diplomatic response. That's what I would say. And that's what the type of thing that I have said. And that is the type of thing that I have heard from plenty of candidates. And I didn't get mad at any of them, right? It just means I know that they're trying to be a little coy and negotiate, and I can't blame them for it, right? I can't blame them. So I want you to try to put it off and just say it's not your only consideration. You will be happy to discuss it if you are deemed a fit. But right now it's a little early for you because you need to learn more about the position. Okay? If it feels a little bit uncomfortable, it might be. But you have to remember, you can't keep doing what you're doing if what you're doing isn't working, right? So it's okay to get out of your comfort zone a little bit and try something new. Okay? Thank you. Hi, Paul, Julio. Thank you for your comments. And Christopher, I see both of you. I appreciate that. And keep the questions and comments coming if anybody has them. All right. So now I told you there was a caveat. The only time I might not want you to delay the conversation is if you as the job seeker have a really hard number that you need to meet. You for whatever reason, you've got a certain number that's what you need to provide for your family, or maybe you just don't have to make a job move. Maybe you're happily employed and you're only going to make a move if you get more money. That's fine. So you know why that number is. So if salary is that important to you that you need to address it up front and it's a deal breaker for you, if before you even learn about the job, that's okay. That's your prerogative. Go ahead and have that conversation. In a lot of cases with people I coach, that is not the case. They want to make as much money as they can, but it's not the only factor. There's other benefits, working remote, whatever. There's a lot of other things that we consider in a job and should consider usually. So I will caveat that with, if money is really a big factor and you have a very specific number to meet and you don't want to waste anybody's time, go ahead and invite that conversation in and get it out of the way. And if you're okay with that, and it ends there, that's fine. That's fine. Can I repeat what I just said? Sure. So what I was saying is, the only caveat to this, when I don't want you to delay the conversation and I do want you to have it right away as a job seeker, is if you have a deal breaker number and salary is pretty much the most important thing that you are looking for. And if they can't meet it, you're fine not progressing in the conversation. Okay. And stopping the job process there. If that's okay with you, go ahead. And I tell people that for anything. A lot of times people will ask me, is it okay to ask this in the job interview? Is it okay to ask about my office space or this or that or whatever? And I say, is it a deal breaker for you? If it is, you should ask it. If not, let it go. Okay. All right. So number 2, I want you to ask them for a range first. And I know this goes against everything that we're taught, right? We're taught the employer has all the power. They can ask us for our salary, but we can't ask them. I remember feeling this way, and it's garbage. Okay? Yeah, I just said that. It's garbage. I'm going to tell you exactly what I have done. And then here's some more dialogue, okay? Because I want you to feel like you can ask the employer what their budget and their range is. I feel like if they can ask you, you can ask them. It's fair, right? So if needed, I want you to say to them, so for example, let's say they ask you, what is the salary level that you are looking for? One approach you could take is to delay the conversation altogether, like I just said. The other approach you can take is to turn it around a little bit on them first and then answer the question. So you could say, I'd be happy to talk about salary if you'd like to do so now. Can you first share with me the budget, or at least a range of the budget that the company has in mind, so that I can negotiate within that range? Because I know companies have different budgets. That's, again, very diplomatic. I'm trying to be respectful of the range that you have because I know it varies from company to company. So can you share that with me and give me at least a ballpark? And I'm happy to negotiate in that range. See what they say to that. That's another approach. Okay, do whichever one of those feels more comfortable and more authentic to you. But I think you could be successful with either one. And I have done that. I still remember to this day an HR job back in my HR career that I was interviewing for. And I did just that. She asked me, what kind of salary are you looking for? And I said, well, I know budgets vary company to company, even for the same role. If you don't mind, can you give me a ballpark of what the company has allotted for this role? And I'm happy to find something within that range. She told me. She told me. Okay. So it can be done successfully. Okay, hang on. I have another question. And I'm trying not to get off track here. Will you be discussing tactics of salary negotiation with a current employer? So I wasn't going to address that specifically on this one, but I think that a lot of it could be applicable. That is a little bit of a different approach, and I think that's a great idea. Actually, you've really inspired me. I'm going to write this down. I'm going to make another training or a blog post on that, okay? Because I still want you to hear everything that this training is going to say, because it's relevant, but it would be slightly different in that case. So number 3 is the third rule. I don't want you to give your current salary in this negotiation. Again, I'm going to allow myself one caveat in just a minute. Okay. But for the most part, I do not want you, even if you are asked, to disclose your current salary. This is such an egregious this question, it's becoming illegal across the country. Okay. So I want you to keep that in mind, that you are not unrealistic and not being I don't know, stubborn, whatever it is. You're not being difficult. Maybe that's what it is, by not wanting to give your current salary. Okay. So what I want you to say instead, are you guys ready for this? This might feel a little bit uncomfortable and you can rephrase it, but I want you to consider this. If you are asked what your current salary is, what I want you to say is, that's actually personal information. I don't typically give that out. However, I've been doing my market research and I'm very interested in this position. And I'm confident that if you deem me to be a fit, we'll be able to come to an agreement. That's it. Or you can also follow up with saying a range that you are looking to earn. That's not the same thing as what you've been making, but you're happy if they need a number, you are happy to share with them what a range that you will accept. Here's how I would phrase that. I would say, I'm currently considering positions in the range of 100 to 150,000, whatever it might be. That's a little bit of a large range, maybe 1 to 125. Okay. I want you to use that exact phrasing when you state what you're looking for. I'm currently considering positions in the range of blank. Okay. Why do I want you to say it that way? Because that psychologically, that's a lot more affirming and empowering than I'd like or I want. My friend is earning. Glassdoor said I should be earning. Right? None of that matters. What matters is what you're willing to accept. That's it. But the best thing for you to base a number on is basically two things. There's the market average. So you can state that you've done research and the market average appears to be blank. Okay. And your skills and experience. So what you can say is, based on my skills and years of experience and the market research that I've done, I'm currently considering roles in the range of blank to blank. Okay. And one other little thing that this does, when you phrase it that way, it gives them the impression that you are actively talking to other employers and might even have other offers. And I want you to say that even if that isn't true. Yeah, go ahead. It's okay. If you are actively applying for jobs, you are in a job search and therefore actively considering other roles. Okay. It's really not that disingenuous to say that at all. So I want you to kind of get rid of that. Right. So really quick, I think I've got some other questions and comments, but I'm going to recap the 3 rules. Delay the conversation as much as possible, unless it really, really matters to you about salary and you have a hard number. 2, ask them for a range. Okay. You can do that with respect to their budget. 3, don't give your salary. Okay. Unless, and here's the caveat. I forgot for that one. Unless it helps your argument and you're comfortable doing so. Okay. It could help your argument if you are making more than what they are offering you. So for example, let's say you get a job offer and it comes in low and you're making $5,000 or $7,000 more than that. Well, absolutely. We're going to say, thank you so much. I'm really excited about this. I'm thrilled that you gave me an offer. In full transparency, I do want to share that this offer is $5,000 lower than my current salary. Could we get it up to the level of 100,000, whatever it might be? In that case, it's perfectly reasonable to ask, because you need to bring it to their attention that you'd be taking a pay cut. That's very reasonable, right? Now, sometimes we have to take pay cuts in jobs. It just depends on the situation. Sometimes we do that on purpose. But if that's not something you want to do and they just didn't know that you were making less, go ahead if you want and leverage yourself up to that point. So you're at least making a lateral move, or you could even still ask for more. Would you be willing to to come to 105, just a small increase on what I'm currently making, something like that. Another question that I love is when you are trying to negotiate and they've offered you something lower than what you want, either lower than what you're making or lower than what you want, doesn't matter. I like the phrase, how close can you come? Okay, so let's say you were hoping for 125 and they offered you 110. I would come back, thank them, be enthusiastic, give all of the good warm and fuzzies, and say, how close could you come to the 125? The reason I like that is because it nudges them without putting too much pressure, and it's respectful, and it acknowledges that maybe they can't get up to the 125, but give me the best that you've got. Okay. I feel like it's very diplomatic, and it shows that you're willing to compromise, but also push them a little outside their comfort zone too, right? That's okay. We can do that. So, okay, I think we've pretty much covered everything. I am just loving the engagement and the questions and comments on this one. This is telling me this is like a hot topic, or this is like a really challenging one that people need. You guys have a lot of good feedback here. Christopher, when do you know if you are pressuring the employer too far? So that's something you're probably going to have to kind of feel your way through. I want you to make sure you're comfortable with it and wording in a way that works for you, because that's where a lot of it really comes from, right? We help set the tone in this interview as well. So I would say just take baby steps and just listen to their feedback, listen to what they say, their tone of voice, listen for subtext. You know, when you said one thing, did they get a little quiet? Like what happened? Read between the lines a little bit, and make sure to use this dialogue that's very, very, diplomatic. Or if you sense that things got a little maybe tense, you might just acknowledge that and say, I just want to reiterate how much I appreciate this offer, and I really do want to get to an agreement so that I can accept. So how can we come together on this? Something like that. Or again, that how close can you come? Or maybe say, I completely understand and respect that you guys have a budget and certain resources that might be different than another company. I really want to make this work. How can we compromise on this? And one other thing that you can do too is you can negotiate other things. If they really can't meet you on salary, maybe ask them, is there anything else that we can negotiate? Paid time off, extra days working from home, whatever it might be. That is something that you can do as well. Some companies I have seen can negotiate those things. Some do not. But just ask the question and see if there's something else that they can do. And I think they'll appreciate that you are willing to work with them and compromise and do the best that you can with respect to their budget. Okay. Hopefully that helps a little bit there. All right. Oh, yay. Oh, Paul, thank you so much. These are the phrases are the best I've ever heard for job seekers. Yay. I try. My whole career has been built on the hiring process from college out over the last 13 years. This is what I love. This is my thing, right? It's my life's mission, truly, to help people find work, whether it's through recruiting or coaching people, writing resumes. I love this. This is making me super happy. Thank you guys. So I think that's it. Any other final comments or questions? Hang on. I think I missed one. Good. Do you believe that saying an expected salary value greater than what the position can offer you can get you out of the picture? It shouldn't. It shouldn't. So here's the thing. So okay, so you're talking about if you say I want 125 and the position only pays 100 at the most. Okay. So that's everyone's biggest fear, right? What if I come guns ablazing right out the gate, and I'm like, I want 125,000, and that's like way more than what they can do. This is why we have to do as much market research as we can to try and figure out what is reasonable. And this is also why we have to do internal research to figure out what matters most to us and where is that hard line, right? So know what you're willing to come down to and where is your deal breaker. And I think that, again, as long as you are approaching it in a very professional and diplomatic way, they shouldn't have a big problem. What they'll likely do is say, oh, okay, so that is actually pretty far above the range that we're able to pay. We really only have approval for 100,000. So are you still interested at this point? That's probably what's going to happen. But again, if something really goes sour, and you were professional, you were diplomatic, you were respectful to their budget, all those things I'm teaching, probably wasn't meant to be. Probably wasn't meant to be. Hey girl, hey Tanya, love it. Thank you so much for being here. So I think that's really the best thing, right? We can only do so much and research the best we can. Job seekers are at a disadvantage with research anyway. They don't have access to the same kind of salary compensation surveys that companies do. Companies can pay to know what their competitors are paying. This is something that HR does, right? So you have some information, but you don't have as much. So I think that you can just do the best you can, ask for what you need. If they're not willing, or if they're not able to do it, just say, let me just reiterate, I'm still very much interested in this. I understand that that's more than your budget. If it's okay with you, I'd love to continue the interview process because there might be some common ground that we can come to or some kind of compromise. That's pretty much what I would say in that case. Okay, let's see. Does intentionally undercutting the expected salary for the position hurt your chances? Okay, so now I think this is a great question. I think you're asking me the opposite of what the other gentleman was asking me. So let's say you go in too low, right? And then you want to go up later. I have a lot to say about this one. So I have some personal family experience with this one, right? So I do not want you to think that just because you undersold it in the beginning that you can't negotiate for more later. You absolutely can. That is also garbage that you can't do that, because I've had that happen where you're forced to give a range, maybe in let's say in the application. God, I hate it when they make you put it in the salary, your salary in the application. That's poor form in my opinion, but that's a common recruiting practice. So let's say you have to put a number in. Let's say you put in 85,000. Okay. You weren't really sure and you were scared to put too much. So you put something kind of low. Everybody does. So let's say that happens. Okay. Let's say you get an interview and you're awesome. You're a rock star. You get the job offer. What do you think is probably going to be on that offer letter? The 85,000, right? Or whatever number it was you put in there. Here's what I want you to say. I want you to just tell the truth and say, I put that number in very early in the process before I had ever had a chance to interview or learn more about the role. Now that I've gone through the interview process, now that I've learned more about it, and now that you know more about me and my experience, I'd actually like to start the negotiation at 95,000 or 100 or whatever it is. All right. And I have seen this be successful in my own family. Okay. You can do this. You can simply tell them the truth that was something you had to put in on the application. You really didn't know anything about the job and weren't sure. So you put in a guess. But where you would actually like to be and what you're currently willing to accept or currently considering is 95, whatever it might be. You can also say this, if this is true. A lot of times, by the time you applied for the job, went through their interview process and got an offer, you might have another offer. You might have other companies that you're talking to. So things have changed. So that is a factor as well. So you could also say, in full transparency, at this point, I actually do have another offer or a final interview where I'm expecting an offer from another company. And that position is actually, 10,000 more at 95, whatever. How close can you come to that? Something like that. Use what I'm teaching you here, but you can come back from that. Absolutely. I want you to ask. I want you to try. I don't want you to just flat out accept it and feel like you have to, because that's what you put in on the application or anything like that. That's what they want you to think. That's why they do that. That's what they want you to think. But I'm going to teach you otherwise. Okay. All right. I'm going to have to wrap this up, you guys. I got to get ready for a client at 3. Hang on. Okay. Hi, Lorraine. Thank you for the wonderful session. Thank you for showing up. Just a quick question. What do you think would be the right time to ask for a raise with a current employer? All right, so I'm going to answer this really quick. There's a little bit different topic, but that's okay. Let's get to this real quick, and then I got to wrap it up. So I think Typically the most appropriate time is when you're having a review, and I hope you get a yearly review. There's a lot of companies out there, unfortunately, that are lagging in that and slacking and not really even giving people reviews. You have the most negotiating power when your performance is under review. Okay. So typically that's at your 1 year review. Some other points could be within your 90-day probationary period. A lot of jobs, that first 90 days usually is probationary, and I'm gonna link into this to an external job as well. If you are not able, when you take the job, to negotiate the salary you want, I want you to ask them if they could write it into your offer letter that you can have a performance and salary review at 90 days. I've seen this be successful as well. Okay. So if they can't meet where you're at, ask them to review your salary after 90 days and get it in writing, or it doesn't exist. True story. Okay. But anyway, that's related to your question. Okay. You always have the most negotiating power when you first take the job. This is why you cannot lowball yourself. You have to ask for the most up front. This is what your raises and bonuses, if you get them, will be based on. Then you have negotiating power typically at the end of the 90 days. Hopefully, they do some kind of performance review. Not all companies do at that point, but some will. Then I would say it's at your 1 year. But anytime you are having a sit down, with your boss or one-to-one and talking about your performance, and you can ask for those. So for example, let's say nobody has given you really any feedback on your performance in a while. You can ask your boss, hey, can we sit down and have a talk about my career here? I'd love to get your feedback on how I'm doing. And I'd love to talk about my future with the company or whatever it might be. I have also initiated those conversations, and a good boss will do that and will appreciate that you are being proactive and want to talk about your performance. That's typically a good time to say, would it be possible to do a review of my salary again at some point and get it set up? Okay, get it on the calendar. So hopefully that helps a little bit. But it sounds like you guys have some questions on how to get a raise from your current employer. And that's a separate training I need to do. And I wish I could tell you that was as easy, but it's usually not, which is why so many people make more money when they change jobs. It's frustrating, but it's true. You will make more money typically by changing jobs. But that doesn't mean I don't want you to try for more money if you love your job. So let me create a whole separate training on that, you guys. Okay. All right. Last call. Last call. I got to get ready for Miss Tanya very soon. But I've had a blast with you guys. So thank you. I think I got all the questions. If not, post it in there again or message me and I will answer it. I love you guys. Go to careeruprising.com. If you'd like to work with me, I'd love to make you one of my personal coaching clients. And we'll kill it together and get you more money out there. All right. Okay. Have a wonderful Thursday, you guys. Take care.